After months away, a millionaire returns believing his daughters were being well cared for by their stepmother. But when he steps into the yard, he finds the twins kneeling in the neighbor's trash, eating scraps as if it were their only option. What he discovers is devastating. Robert Harrington stepped out of his Bentley, breathing in the crisp Massachusetts air. His sprawling estate in Beacon Hill, Boston's most exclusive neighborhood, welcomed him after 3 months away, securing international contracts. The imposing brick mansion with its meticulously manicured gardens looked exactly as he'd left it. Everything seemed perfect. "Victoria?" he called out, expecting his wife of 2 years to greet him. The house remained silent. Robert loosened his tie, setting his briefcase down in the marble-floored entryway. For the past quarter, he'd been building his investment empire across Europe and Asia, confident that his 7-year-old twin daughters, Sophia and Olivia, were in good hands with their stepmother. Victoria had sent him carefully curated photos, the girls at piano lessons, having tea parties in the garden, smiling in matching dresses. "Anyone home?" His voice echoed through the high ceilings. The house felt unnaturally still. Robert checked his watch, 8:45 p.m. The girls should be preparing for bed. He headed upstairs, but paused when he noticed the kitchen door leading to the backyard slightly ajar, swinging gently in the evening breeze. Unease settled in his stomach. Robert walked toward the door, stepping out onto the stone patio. A rustling sound drew his attention to the back of the property where it bordered their neighbor's estate. Under the dim moonlight, he spotted 2 small figures huddled by the neighbor's trash bins. "What in the world?" he whispered, approaching cautiously. As he drew closer, his heart nearly stopped. Sophia and Olivia, his beautiful daughters, were kneeling beside the garbage, desperately unwrapping discarded food packages. Their once lustrous hair hung in tangled knots, their designer pajamas were stained and torn, and their tiny hands scratched from digging through refuse. "Girls?" Robert called softly. Both girls flinched violently. Sophia dropped a half-eaten apple, her eyes wide, with terror. Olivia clutched a stale piece of bread to her chest. "We're sorry, Daddy," Sophia whispered, her voice trembling. "Please don't tell Victoria." "We couldn't wait until tomorrow," Olivia added, her words barely audible. "We haven't had enough food for days." Robert fell to his knees, his designer suit gathering dirt as he pulled his daughters close. They felt fragile in his arms, their bodies eerily light. Through their thin pajamas, he could feel their protruding ribs, their shoulder blades like wings. The twins held onto him weakly, as though even this small exertion cost them precious energy. It's okay now," he whispered, his voice breaking. "I'm home, I'm here." He carried them inside, one in each arm, noticing how they trembled against him. In the bright kitchen light, Robert fully saw the damage. Dark circles shadowed their once bright eyes. Their faces, always chubby with childhood softness, appeared hollow. Sophia had a fading bruise on her cheek. Olivia's wrists bore marks that looked suspiciously like fingerprints. Robert prepared warm soup, watching with devastation as they ate in tiny, cautious spoonfuls, the way people eat when they've been starved, afraid of overwhelming their shrunken stomachs. They answered his gentle questions with frightened glances toward the doorway, as if expecting Victoria to appear at any moment. "Where is she?" Robert asked, keeping his voice calm despite the rage building inside him. "At her friend Melissa's house," Sophia said. "She goes there a lot when you're away." "She said we had to stay in our room," Olivia added, "that we weren't allowed in the kitchen because we're too greedy." "When did you eat last, sweethearts?" The twins exchanged uncertain glances. "Yesterday morning. Victoria gave us each half a piece of toast." Robert helped them bathe, his hands gentle as he washed their tangled hair. He noticed more bruises, scratches, and alarming weight loss. His once vibrant daughters had been reduced to shadows, frightened and diminished. That night, they slept in his bed, curled against him like they had as toddlers. Robert remained awake, watching their fitful sleep, cataloguing every mark on their bodies, every sign of neglect. His mind raced with questions. How long had this been happening? Who else knew? How had he missed the signs in their video calls? Morning arrived with the sound of the front door opening, Victoria Harrington glided into the master bedroom with practiced grace, her designer, outfit immaculate, hair perfectly styled. She froze at the sight of Robert sitting on the edge of the bed, the twins sleeping behind him. "Darling, what a wonderful surprise," she exclaimed, voice honey-sweet. "Why didn't you tell me you were coming home early?" Robert studied his wife's face, the careful application of makeup, the calculated warmth in her smile that never quite reached her eyes. "I wanted to surprise my family," he replied evenly. Victoria approached to kiss him, but he stood, blocking her access to the twins. Something dangerous flashed in her eyes before disappearing behind her perfect mask. "The girls look exhausted. Poor things have been so emotional lately." She lowered her voice to a conspiratorial whisper. "I've been worried about them, Robert. They've been refusing meals, hiding food in their rooms until it rots. I've scheduled them with Dr. Winters. He specializes in childhood eating disorders." Robert maintained his composure. "Interesting, because I found them digging through our neighbor's trash last night, starving." Victoria's expression shifted seamlessly to concern. "Oh no, that's exactly what I mean. It's attention-seeking behavior." She touched his arm. "They've been so difficult since you left. Lying, breaking things, hurting themselves for sympathy. I've tried. Everything." "We're seeing a doctor today," Robert stated, "but not Dr. Winters." Victoria's smile tightened. "Of course. Whatever you think is best." 3 hours later, Dr. Camila Rodriguez at Boston Children's Hospital examined the twins while Robert waited outside. The pediatrician's face was professionally neutral when she emerged, but her eyes held controlled fury. "Mr. Harrington, your daughters are suffering from moderate malnutrition, dehydration, and significant weight loss. They're both at least 10 pounds underweight. They show signs of physical restraint and punishment." She hesitated. "I'm legally required to report these findings." Robert nodded. "I understand. I want everything documented." While the girls received fluids and nutritional supplements, Robert made 2 phone calls. The first to Michael Donovan, Boston's most discreet but thorough private investigator. The second to Jennifer Blake, a ruthless family attorney known for protecting children at all costs. "I need evidence," he told Donovan. "Everything. Talk to staff, neighbors, teachers, check security cameras. I need the complete picture." To Blake, he was equally direct. "I'm fighting for full custody. My daughters have been systematically abused by their stepmother." Within 48 hours, the first evidence arrived. Donovan brought security footage from their neighbor's property. The Andersons had installed cameras after recent package thefts. The time-stamped videos showed Sophia and Olivia searching through garbage on 7 different occasions over the past month. More disturbing were the interviews with former household staff. The previous nanny, Gabriela Martinez, had been suddenly dismissed 3 months ago. The housekeeper, Mrs. Peterson, left after irreconcilable differences with Victoria. The groundskeeper, Tom, was fired for overstepping boundaries when he started bringing extra lunches for the twins. "They were all threatened with non-disclosure violations," Donovan explained, "but I convinced Mrs. Peterson to talk. She witnessed Victoria locking the girls in the storage room under the stairs for hours. She also saw her eating elaborate meals in front of them while giving them only scraps." Robert reviewed the growing file, each page fueling his resolve. What about their school? How did nobody notice? "That's where it gets interesting," Donovan continued. "Victoria pulled them from Westfield Academy 2 months ago, claiming she was homeschooling them. Their pediatrician, Dr. Winters, signed off on their absence due to stress-related digestive issues. But here's the kicker. Winters and Victoria were college classmates." The investigator paused. "There's something else. Victoria's been meeting with a man named James Elliott. He's a forensic psychologist who specializes in parental alienation cases from the defending side. They've had 4 meetings in the past 2 weeks. She's building a case against you, Mr. Harrington." Robert wasn't surprised. Victoria had always been strategic, calculating. It was what had initially drawn him to her after his first wife's passing, her ability to manage complex situations with cool efficiency. Now that same quality terrified him. "I need to find Gabriela Martinez," Robert decided. "She was with us the longest. The twins trusted her. "Already looking," Donovan assured him. "But she seems to have disappeared. Left Boston entirely. Victoria's reach might be longer than we thought." That evening, as Robert helped the twins with dinner, small frequent meals as Dr. Rodriguez had recommended, his phone rang. Jennifer Blake's voice was tense. "Robert, Victoria's filed for emergency custody. She's claiming you've been emotionally manipulating the girls, turning them against her. She has witness statements from her therapist, her friend Melissa, and somehow 3 teachers who claim the girls showed signs of distress only after your video calls." The courthouse loomed like a fortress against the grey Boston sky. Robert adjusted his tie, steeling himself for the preliminary hearing. Beside him, Jennifer Blake arranged documents with methodical precision. "Remember," she warned, "Victoria will present herself as the perfect stepmother. She's building a narrative that you're an absent father who suddenly returned to disrupt a stable home." Robert watched Victoria enter with her attorney, Maxwell Reed, a man known for representing wealthy clients in bitter divorces. She wore a modest navy dress, hair pulled back in a simple style that contrasted sharply with her usual glamour. Her expression conveyed wounded dignity. The judge, Honorable Patricia Watkins, a veteran of family court with 20 years on the bench, studied both parties with shrewd eyes. "This court takes allegations of child endangerment extremely seriously," she began. "We also recognize that custody disputes can involve complex motivations. I'll hear brief statements before determining temporary arrangements." Victoria's lawyer presented first, painting a picture of a devoted stepmother struggling with difficult children and an absent husband. Reed displayed photos of Victoria at school events, carefully staged images of family dinners and holiday celebrations, all perfectly curated moments that Robert recognized as theatrical productions rather than genuine memories. "Mrs. Harrington has dedicated herself to these children, while Mr. Harrington has spent 208 days traveling internationally in the past year," Reed emphasized. "The children's behavioral issues escalated only when Mr. Harrington began suggesting their stepmother didn't love them enough." Victoria dabbed at invisible tears with a tissue. "I've tried so hard," she whispered, loud enough to be heard. When Jennifer Blake's turn came, she remained coolly professional. "Your Honor, we have medical documentation from Boston Children's Hospital diagnosing severe malnutrition and physical trauma. We have security footage showing the children searching for food in trash bins. We have statements from former household staff describing systematic abuse." She presented Dr. Rodriguez's detailed report, the time-stamped security videos, and affidavits from Mrs. Peterson and Tom. Judge Watkins reviewed the medical photographs of the twins' protruding ribs and bruised wrists, her expression hardening. Victoria leaned to whisper to her attorney, who immediately stood. "Your Honor, these injuries could have been sustained after Mr. Harrington's return. We have no proof of their timing." "The medical report clearly indicates these are not recent developments," Blake countered. "The malnutrition alone would take weeks to develop to this degree." Judge Watkins studied Victoria. "Mrs. Harrington, can you explain why the children were searching for food in garbage containers if they were being properly fed at home?" Victoria's practiced composure wavered momentarily. "As I've documented with Dr. Fuentes, the girls have been exhibiting attention-seeking behaviors. They've been hiding and throwing away perfectly good food, then claiming hunger." "And the bruises?" the judge pressed. "Children play, they fall, and frankly, they've started hurting themselves when they don't get their way." Victoria's voice took on a confiding tone. "We've been working with specialists on their emotional regulation." Robert's hands tightened into fists under the table. Jennifer placed a warning hand on his arm. Judge Watkins reviewed the documentation again. "I'm ordering a full investigation by Family Services. Until then, temporary custody will remain with Mr. Harrington, with supervised visitation. For Mrs. Harrington twice weekly." She fixed Victoria with a penetrating stare. "The children will also meet privately with a court-appointed child psychologist." Outside the courtroom, Victoria approached Robert, maintaining a careful distance as reporters hovered nearby. "You're making a terrible mistake," she said quietly, her smile intact for any watching eyes. "You have no idea what you're doing to this family." "There is no mistake," Robert replied evenly. "And you're not family." Back at home, Robert found the twins anxiously waiting with their temporary nanny, a kind-faced woman named Ellen whom Jennifer had recommended. Their eyes immediately searched his expression for clues. "Everything's okay," he assured them, gathering them close. "You'll be staying with me." Later that evening, while the girls were bathing, Robert's phone rang. Michael Donovan sounded urgent. "I found Gabriela Martinez. She's been staying with family in Providence. She didn't leave willingly, she was threatened. Apparently she caught Victoria force-feeding the girls spoiled food as punishment and recorded it on her phone. Victoria discovered the recording, confiscated the phone and threatened deportation if Gabriela spoke up." Hope surged through Robert. "Can she testify?" "That's just it," Donovan continued. "She's terrified. Says Victoria has connections who could hurt her family back in Honduras, but she does have something." Before Victoria took her phone, Gabriela backed up some files to cloud storage. "She's willing to share them with you, but only in person. She doesn't trust technology now." "I'll meet her anywhere." "There's more," Donovan added. "I've been looking into Victoria's past. This isn't her first marriage to a wealthy man with children. She was briefly married to a Richard Thornton in Connecticut 5 years ago. His son was removed from the home after an accident, but the records are sealed. I'm working on accessing them." After hanging up, Robert checked on the twins, now sleeping peacefully for the first time since his return. Their thin faces looked less haunted in sleep. He gently touched Sophia's cheek, remembering how she used to laugh at the slightest provocation. Now she startled at sudden movements. His phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "You'll never prove anything. The girls are damaged goods. No one will believe them over me. Back off now, or I'll make sure you never see them again." The small cafe in Providence buzzed with Sunday morning patrons. Robert sat in a corner booth, nervously checking his watch. He'd left the twins with Ellen, promising to return before lunch. After several tense minutes, a petite woman with worried eyes approached his table. "Mr. Harrington?" Gabriela Martinez slid into the seat across from him, glancing repeatedly toward the door. "Thank you for meeting me," Robert said. "I can't tell you how important this is." Gabriela clutched her purse tightly. "I should have done something sooner. Her voice broke. "My family depends on my income. When Victoria threatened me—" "I understand," Robert assured her, "but you're doing the right thing now." With trembling hands, Gabriela removed a small USB drive from her purse. "I started recording after the first incident. Victoria would make the girls stand in the corner for hours if they spoke during meals. Then she began restricting their food, said they needed to learn discipline and appreciation." She pushed the drive across the table. "There are 17 recordings. The worst is from April 15th. Victoria forced Sophia to eat moldy bread she'd found in the garbage as punishment for asking for a snack between meals. She told Olivia to watch carefully because she'd be next if she complained." Robert's stomach twisted. Why didn't anyone notice at school? Victoria was clever. The girls always looked perfect in public. Hair done, wearing expensive clothes. She'd threaten them before school, telling them nobody would believe problem children over a respected socialite. Gabriela wiped away tears. "She fired me when she found me sneaking food to them, threatened to report me to immigration if I ever came back." Robert placed a supportive hand on Gabriela's. "Would you be willing to testify?" "My attorney can arrange protection." Gabriela hesitated, then nodded slowly. "Those little girls were so sweet when I first started working there. They loved dancing and drawing." Victoria broke their spirits so quickly. Back in Boston, Robert met with Jennifer Blake and Michael Donovan to review the recordings. Jennifer's professional demeanor cracked as they listened to Victoria's cold voice taunting the hungry children. "Your father doesn't really want you, you know. That's why he's always away. I'm doing him a favor by teaching you discipline." Another recording captured Victoria telling the twins, "No dinner tonight. You breathed too loudly during my phone call. This house isn't a charity." Most damning was the video Gabriela had described, Victoria forcing Sophia to eat spoiled food while Olivia watched, terrified. Victoria's face was clearly visible, her expression one of calculated cruelty rather than anger. "This is beyond emotional abuse," Jennifer said, her voice tight. "This is torture." Donovan added his findings. I've uncovered Victoria's pattern. Her previous marriage to Richard Thornton ended after his 10-year-old son was hospitalized with suspicious, accidental poisoning. The case was settled privately, with sealed records and a non-disclosure agreement. Before that, she worked as a nanny for the Westbrook family in New York, who fired her after their daughter became inexplicably ill whenever Victoria cared for her. She targets wealthy, busy fathers with vulnerable children, Jennifer concluded, creates dependency, isolates the children, then establishes herself as indispensable while systematically abusing them. Robert struggled to process the information. How did I not see it? I spoke with them weekly on video calls. Victoria controlled those interactions, Donovan explained. Former staff confirmed she'd coached the girls beforehand, threatening punishments if they appeared anything but happy. She'd stand just off camera, monitoring every word. The doorbell interrupted their conversation. Ellen appeared with a concerned expression. Mr. Harrington, there's someone from Child Protective Services here. They're saying they received an anonymous tip about the girls being in danger with you. Robert exchanged alarmed glances with Jennifer, who immediately took charge. This is Victoria's countermove, she said quietly to Robert. Stay calm. The CPS worker, a stern woman named Ms. Winters, interviewed the twins while Jennifer observed. Robert paced anxiously in his study until they emerged. The allegations appear unfounded, Ms. Winters stated professionally. However, I am concerned about the girls' physical condition. We have medical documentation of their condition when they came into Mr. Harrington's care, Jennifer explained, providing copies of Dr. Rodriguez's reports. After Ms. Winters left, Jennifer's expression was grim. Victoria's escalating. She's trying to overwhelm us with bureaucracy and false allegations. We need to move quickly. That night, as Robert tucked the twins into bed, Olivia clutched his hand. Daddy, is Victoria coming back? No, sweetheart. You're safe now. Sophia's small voice came from beneath her covers. She said you'd get tired of us too, that everyone does. Robert gathered both girls into his arms. Never. I will never get tired of you. I'm so sorry I didn't protect you better. After the girls fell asleep, Robert received an urgent call from Donovan. I've been monitoring Victoria's activities. She just met with a man named Peter Sanchez. He's a known document forger, and she's booked a flight to Zurich for tomorrow evening. She's planning to run, Robert realized. We need to move up our court date. There's something else, Donovan added. I found Richard Thornton's son, Ethan. He's 17 now. After hearing about your case, he's willing to break his NDA and testify about what Victoria did to him. The courtroom fell silent as Judge Watkins reviewed the final pieces of evidence. Victoria sat rigidly beside her attorney, her immaculate facade beginning to crack around the edges. The emergency hearing had been granted after Jennifer presented evidence of Victoria's planned departure. Your Honor, Jennifer Blake addressed the court, we'd like to present our final witness. A tall teenage boy entered, his shoulders squared with determination, despite his obvious nervousness. Victoria's face drained of color. Please state your name for the court, Judge Watkins directed. Ethan Thornton, Your Honor. For the next 20 minutes, Ethan described in measured tones how Victoria had systematically isolated him from his father, restricted his food, forced him to consume spoiled meals as punishment, and convinced mental health professionals that he was troubled and attention-seeking. His testimony mirrored the twins' experience with chilling precision. She would make elaborate dinners and eat in front of me while I got cold oatmeal, Ethan recalled. When I told my dad, she convinced him I was lying for attention. When a teacher noticed I was losing weight, Victoria had a doctor friend diagnose me with an eating disorder. As Ethan spoke, Victoria's attorney frantically passed her notes, which she ignored, her eyes fixed on the boy with undisguised hatred. The poisoning was the last straw, Ethan continued. She put something in my food that made me violently ill. When I was hospitalized, they found traces of ipecac in my system. My dad finally believed me, but by then she'd convinced everyone I was unstable. The settlement included a diagnosis of mental illness for me, which I've since had formally reversed, and sealed records. When Victoria's attorney attempted cross-examination, questioning why Ethan would break a legally binding agreement, the teenager's answer was simple: because no other kid should go through what I did, or what those little girls did. Judge Watkins's decision was swift and absolute. This court grants full permanent custody to Robert Harrington. Victoria Harrington is hereby prohibited from any contact with Sophia and Olivia Harrington. The evidence will be forwarded to the District Attorney for criminal prosecution consideration. Victoria lunged to her feet. They're lying. All of them. Those manipulative little brats. Mrs. Harrington. Judge Watkins's voice cracked like thunder. One more word, and I'll hold you in contempt. Outside the courtroom, Robert approached Ethan and his father. I can't thank you enough. Richard Thornton shook Robert's hand firmly. We should have spoken up years ago, regardless of the agreement. How Ethan suffered. His voice trailed off. You're helping my daughters now, Robert said. That's what matters. Weeks passed. Victoria faced multiple charges and was denied bail after attempting to use a fake passport at a private airfield. The media initially swarmed with sensationalist headlines, but Jennifer's careful management kept the twins shielded from the worst of it. The real work began at home. Robert restructured his entire life, transferring business responsibilities to trusted partners and focusing on his daughter's recovery. Dr. Lydia Nguyen, a specialist in childhood trauma, visited 3 times weekly. The twins began therapy with art and play components, slowly finding ways to express their experiences. Robert established gentle routines, regular meals without pressure, bedtime stories, weekend picnics in the Boston Public Garden. The first time, Sophia asked for seconds at dinner, her hand trembling as she reached for the serving spoon. Robert had to excuse himself to cry privately in the hallway. Small victories accumulated. Olivia stopped hiding food under her mattress. Sophia began humming again, a habit Victoria had punished with isolation. They gained weight, their eyes brightened, their nightmares became less frequent. 3 months later, Robert sat on the back patio, watching the twins chase butterflies in the garden. His phone buzzed with a message from Jennifer. Victoria accepted a plea deal. 15 years, no possibility of contact. He set down his phone, feeling not triumph, but quiet relief. That chapter was closing. Dad! Dad! Olivia called, running toward him with cupped hands. Look what I caught. She carefully opened her palms to reveal a monarch butterfly resting on her fingers. It's not scared of me, she whispered, wonder filling her voice. That's because it knows you're gentle, Robert answered, his heart swelling. Sophia joined them, breathless with excitement. Can we plant more flowers? The butterfly book says they need milkweed. Of course we can, Robert promised. We'll make this garden a butterfly paradise. That evening, as Robert tucked the twins into bed, Olivia asked the question that had become their nightly ritual. Are you staying home tomorrow? All day, he assured them, as he did every night. I'll be here when you wake up. Sophia clutched her teddy bear, one she'd named Freedom after the court decision. Can we build that treehouse this weekend you promised? Absolutely, I already ordered the lumber. After kisses goodnight, Robert paused in the doorway, watching his daughters drift towards sleep. Olivia mumbled something that sounded like love you, and Sophia smiled in her dreams, a sight once rare but now blessedly common. In his study, Robert opened his laptop to find an email from Ethan Thornton, now starting college. The subject line read simply, "It gets better." The message contained a photo of Ethan grinning on a university campus, surrounded by friends, looking healthy and whole. Robert replied with a recent picture of the twins playing in a sprinkler, their faces alight with joy. His message was equally simple. Thank you for giving them their future. Outside, summer lightning illuminated the garden, where butterfly-attracting flowers would soon grow. Inside, his daughters slept peacefully, their deepest wish already granted, to be safe, to be loved, to be home.